The South China Sea is a vital maritime highway. 1/3 of global shipping passes through it every year. Beneath its waves lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, making it even more valuable. For generations, millions across Southeast Asia have depended on its rich fishing grounds. But this sea is fiercely contested. China claims almost the entire area with its 9-dash line, overlapping the exclusive economic zones of the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. These overlapping claims have turned the region into a flashpoint where minor incidents could escalate rapidly. In recent years, China has grown more assertive, building artificial islands and military bases, alarming its neighbors and the world. The Philippines, in particular, faces constant harassment. Its fishermen and Coast Guard regularly confront much larger Chinese vessels. On one side stands China, a superpower enforcing its historical claims. On the other, smaller nations like the Philippines defend their sovereignty under international law. This tense standoff is the backdrop for a major shift: Japan's decision to supply the Philippines with advanced air defense missiles. It's a move that could alter the region's balance of power. Will this new hardware help keep the peace or add fuel to the fire? The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The South China Sea has never been closer to the brink. The weapon at the center of this shift is Japan's Type-03 Chusam, a mobile medium-range surface-to-air missile system. Mounted on trucks, it can be rapidly moved to protect key bases or remote outposts, making it a hard target. Developed by Mitsubishi Electric, the Type-03 uses advanced radar to track and intercept multiple aerial threats: aircraft, drones, and cruise missiles. This isn't outdated gear, it's a modern shield, currently in service with Japan's own forces. For the Philippines, it's a leap forward from aging, inadequate defenses. Crucially, the Type-03 is a defensive weapon, designed to shoot down threats, not attack other countries. This distinction matters. Japan can claim it's helping the Philippines defend, not escalate. For Manila, it's a game changer, a credible deterrent against hostile aircraft or missile attacks. The message is clear: any aggression will come at a high cost. The Philippines is no longer just putting up a fence. It finally has a shield. This new capability could make potential aggressors think twice. The balance of power in the South China Sea is shifting, and everyone knows it. Japan's decision to export the Type-03 marks a historic break from its post-World War II pacifism. For decades, Japan banned arms exports, focusing on economic growth and relying on the US for security. But China's military rise and assertiveness have changed the equation. Japan faces its own disputes with China in the East China Sea and sees parallels in the South China Sea. By arming the Philippines, Japan is protecting shared interests: democracy, free navigation, and regional stability. If China dominates the South China Sea, Japan's vital shipping lanes could be threatened. This move is part of a broader shift. Japan is taking a more active security role, deepening ties with partners like Vietnam, Australia, and India. The Type-03 transfer is the clearest sign yet that Tokyo won't sit on the sidelines. It's collective security in action, helping partners stand up to coercion without direct confrontation. Japan is signaling it's ready to shape the region's future, not just watch from afar. The message to Beijing: the status quo won't change without resistance. The Philippines, a nation of over 7,000 islands, faces a daunting task: defending one of the world's longest coastlines with outdated equipment. Its military has long been outgunned, especially in the West Philippine Sea, where Chinese vessels routinely harass Filipino fishermen and Coast Guard crews. Aggressive tactics like water cannons and blockades are used to intimidate and assert control. The Second Thomas Shoal is a stark example. Filipino Marines, stranded on a rusting ship, face constant Chinese pressure and dangerous resupply missions. Diplomatic protests and legal victories, like the 2016 Hague ruling, have done little to change realities on the water. Without credible defense, the Philippines' options are limited. Acquiring systems like the Type-03 isn't about starting a war, it's about deterrence. It gives Manila the means to protect its people and territory, making aggression a much riskier gamble for any adversary. The stakes are survival and sovereignty. For the Philippines, a modern shield is long overdue. China's 9-line claim covers nearly 90% of the South China Sea, overlapping the exclusive economic zones of its neighbors. The claim's origins are murky, based on a 1947 map and vague historical references. International law, specifically UNCLOS, rejects such sweeping historical claims. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled the 9-line has no legal basis. China ignored the verdict. Instead, Beijing doubled down, building artificial islands like Mischief Reef and Fiery Cross Reef, military bases deep inside the Philippines zone. These outposts now host runways, ports, and advanced sensors, allowing China to project power across Southeast Asia. By creating facts in the water, China is changing the region's reality. These militarized islands let Beijing monitor and control vital sea lanes. The fear, the South China Sea could become a Chinese lake, closed to others. For the region, this is a direct challenge to sovereignty and international order. The world is watching how far China will go, and who will push back. The US and Japan aren't claimants in the South China Sea, but their interests are huge, especially freedom of navigation. This waterway is a lifeline for global trade, including Japan's energy imports and US commerce. If China controls it, the world economy could be held hostage. The US also wants to maintain its role as Asia-Pacific's security guarantor. To challenge China's claims, the US Navy conducts regular freedom of navigation operations, sailing and flying near Chinese-held islands. Japan's concerns are strategic. A dominant China could threaten its own islands and sea lanes. By supporting the Philippines, Japan is helping regional states resist Chinese pressure and build resilience. Both Washington and Tokyo are strengthening security ties with Manila. The US-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty now explicitly covers attacks in the South China Sea. Japan is complementing this with equipment and joint exercises. Together, they're building a network to uphold a free and open Indo-Pacific. The message: the region won't be dominated by a single power. The South China Sea has seen real confrontations, not just diplomatic disputes. In 1995, China seized Mischief Reef from the Philippines, building structures that later became a major military base. More recently, Chinese Coast Guard ships have used water cannons against Philippine vessels, injuring crews and escalating tensions. The 2012 Scarborough Shoal standoff saw China take control of a traditional Filipino fishing ground, ignoring a brokered withdrawal. These incidents are deliberate acts of intimidation, not accidents. Chinese fighter jets have buzzed US planes, and maritime militia have swarmed Philippine-held islands. Each flashpoint raises the risk of miscalculation and crisis. For the Philippines, these experiences underscore the need for credible defense. Without the ability to impose costs, sovereignty is eroded, one reef at a time. Manila's search for new tools is a direct response to these hard lessons. The region's history is a warning: weakness invites aggression. Now the Philippines is determined to change the script. Can a few batteries of missiles really make a difference against China's military might? The answer: asymmetric deterrence. The Philippines doesn't need to match China weapon for weapon, it just needs to make aggression costly. The Type-03 missiles create no-go zones, forcing Chinese pilots and planners to think twice. Imagine a disputed island like Type-02. With Type-03s deployed, any Chinese aircraft entering the area faces real risk. This creates anti-access area denial bubbles, localized zones where China's freedom of movement is restricted. The missiles act like a defensive porcupine, not meant to attack, but to make any approach dangerous. The goal isn't to defeat China outright, but to defend key points and buy time. Even the threat of shooting down a few aircraft could de-escalate a crisis or rally international support. The playing field is leveled just enough for the Philippines to defend its territory. It's a shift from helplessness to credible defense. Sometimes a shield is all you need to change the game. Will Japanese missiles in the Philippines deter China or provoke escalation? The hope is deterrence, making aggression too costly, signaling Manila's resolve and the backing of powerful allies. This could stabilize the region, even if tensions remain high. But there's real risk. China may see this as provocation, respond with more militarization, and trigger an arms race. The security dilemma looms. Defensive moves by one side look offensive to the other, fueling a dangerous spiral. Success depends on smart strategy, integrating new defenses with diplomacy and alliances. The Philippines must balance deterrence with dialogue, keeping the door open to peaceful resolution. The missiles are a tool, not a cure-all. The real goal: convince Beijing that the cost of aggression outweighs any gain. For Manila, inaction has only brought more pressure. By standing up, the Philippines is betting that credible self-defense is the surest path to peace. The outcome will shape the South China Sea's future and test the region's balance of power. The world is watching to see if this gamble pays off.